everybody. Let me just show our disclosure. All right. Welcome to Open the Door with Barb Hartman. I am Barb Hartman, and our guest today, the esteemed and proud favorite, John Stasko Jr. Welcome, John. Thank you so much for coming back to see us.
Nice to be here. Nice to be here.
So happy to have you. Let's see who is joining us today. Music off. Let's see. Today we have. Oh wow! Everybody's feeling this. I love our. Oh gosh, I just love you guys. Denise, our moderator. Thanks for coming, Denise. Laurie Sue is here again. Thanks for joining us, Laurie Sue. And you will know we were asking to see the Sunset Sasquatch or Sasquatch Sunset, whatever trailer. I don't know if you heard about that, John, but on our show last night was hilarious. You guys haven't seen it, go back and watch it. Even if you can get to the first couple minutes, hilarious. Pamela, oh, thanks for joining us, Pamela. Little Twisted, always good to see you. Thank you so much. Liana King, hey, thank you for joining us. Let me see. Lulu Bell, thank you for being here. Sunny is here. Thanks for joining us, Sunny 11. And Susan, thanks for joining us again, Susan. Always great. Grandmaster UV, hey, welcome. And I think I got everybody. Again, thanks for joining us. So we have, hey, Roger Blair's here. Welcome, Roger. And Midwest Night Watchers, Garrel, welcome, you guys. So good, everybody, today. John has over 50 years experience, right, John? Researching 56. John has researched the paranormal, cryptids, UFOs. What am I missing, John? Bigfoot, Sasquatch?
Everything. You name it, I've been on it. Believe me, everything. And I want to tell you something about that. Right now, in a lot of the groups I go to, I gave a lecture a couple of weeks ago to Boru up in Butler, PA. And their primary interest is Bigfoot. So my first thing I said is I don't want to be known primarily as a Bigfoot investigator because I'm not. I am a paranormal investigator.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
So everything I do it's from you. I got into this because of UFOs, and then abduction cases, and then when I did some investigations, then there was some Bigfoot stuff that was going on with that. So I did some digging into that. So it just kind of transgressed into each one. Vampire case, I think I told you about the last time. Demon case, exorcisms, hauntings, ghost orbs, Black Panther sightings, Mothman, you name it. I've been on it, and I'm still doing it. You know, still kicking until I die, one way or the other. But just so you know, we have 4 ghosts in our house. 4, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 ghosts. So right, and I let them stay here. And just so you know, I knew Ed and Lorraine Warren, and I know how to clear a house.
That is just that. I would love to have not known them. Oh my gosh.
I also met Hans Holzer many years ago. He was right, and John Keel, the Mothman, wrote the Mothman prophecies. I met him in New York. So I mean, I there's people all over the world I talk to. I mean, I have people I talk to in Ukraine, Israel, Russia, Philippines, South America, Canada, I mean, Mexico, everywhere. Oh, England. One of my best friends lives in England. Oh, so nice. Yeah, I like to have him come on your show. You get a kick out of him. He's
absolutely, yeah. Send me his information. I'd love to have you.
And Linda Sigmund is a good friend of mine. So, you know, she's the one that originally saw the Mothman. I just talked to her the other day. In fact, talked to her for about half hour or so. I turned her on to this group in England. It's called Alien 8 UK, because the man that runs the group is really interested in Mothman. So, you know, I did that. But anyhow, what I want to say before I begin, okay, and I've said this as a disclaimer before, and other people have heard that, okay, there are no experts in this field. Not me, nobody. Okay, let's keep this very clear. An expert is somebody who has the answers to everything. I don't have the answers to everything. Every time I find what I think is an answer, 10 more pop up questions.
You're right.
Right. And when people get on there and they portray them, now Facebook, all the groups I'm in, has me portrayed. They call it I'm an group. I'm the
Yeah.
admin and group expert. But
Yeah.
that's the designation that Facebook puts on.
Right.
What I call myself is an explorer of the unknown. That's what I am. And I'm an experiencer as well. Okay, in several regiments. But anybody that tells you that they're an expert are lying. They're delusional, and you're just straight a nutcase. Okay, because there are none of us. We're all searching for the same answers. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
And I was invited to a lot of different groups to join, but I've chosen very few. I mean, I'm in, I think 12 or 14 groups now. I was invited probably 30 more, but I don't join them because, frankly, I don't believe in what they do. There's too much entertainment value as opposed to informational value. Okay. And I'm not about that. I'm about facts. And I follow a scientific method whenever I do things. Okay.
Yes.
Well, anyhow, let me begin by saying this too. I'm 72 years old as of August 6th. Okay. I'm in good shape for my age. Okay.
Yeah, you look great. Wow.
Well, thanks.
Woo.
Hey, you know what I mean? I'm not ready to do pole dancing yet, but I'm good. But anyhow, maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But my knee's 100%. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't take dollar bills or change. I want 10s, 20s, and 50s. Okay. Anyhow, but here's the thing. I will say this, whether people believe me or not, I am an abductee as well. I have been an abductee since at least I was 5 years of age.
Wow.
I have 2 scoop marks on my body. One when I got on my right ankle on the inside when I was 5. The other one I got when I was 39 years of age after a UFO encounter close up. Okay. Right on my wrist here. You can't really see it right now on this, but I could take a picture, I guess, and send it to you for future reference. I also have 7 pictures of a UFO that hovered over top me. It was on the ground. It lifted up.
Oh, wow. And when was that, John?
May 30th, 1990. But that wasn't my last UFO sighting. The last one I had was about, I say, 4 or 5 months ago. I was with Dan Benoit and Julie McQuaid, his then fiance. We were called out to a place near Mingo Park, PA, which is in Washington County. And for supposedly, this man said he saw something. Actually, he was with his mother, who's 75. He bought this 40-acre piece of property that bordered about 300 acres of other additional woodlands and fields and such. And he said when he drove down to get to the bottom of his driveway there, he saw this creature maybe 5 or 6 feet tall. And he grabbed a wild turkey and was shaking it so fast it was a blur and the feathers was flying everywhere. It scared him. Yeah. So he called Dan, and Dan lives in Virginia. Well, he lives in Somerset at that time. Now he's back in Virginia. But he called me and asked me to go up and check it out first before they could get there. So I did. I found one track, 16 inches long. One Bigfoot track. I believe it was a Bigfoot track. Okay. But here's the kicker. When they came on the investigation, it was a night investigation. I had Julie and Dan go about 300 feet away from me because they're engaged, and she's afraid. So I'm not afraid of anything. I mean, come on, seriously. But my wife will tell you the same thing. I'm not afraid of anything. Nothing. Anyhow, so I told them before they left, you got to be very quiet because if I can hear you, Bigfoot can hear you.
Oh, yeah.
We were there for Bigfoot or whatever this puckwudgie was we thought it might be.
Oh.
Well, after a while, they got scared, I guess, or they wanted to come with me. So I was at the very top of a hill, dressed in complete camo. I'm going to send you the video. We actually have it. And I was sitting there. They couldn't even see me. They got within 15 feet of me, couldn't even see me because listen, I can sit as still as a rock for 8-10 hours, not even move, except my eyes.
You part Bigfoot. Because that's what they do. We know that.
Yeah, I can sit. My wife will tell you, I can sit for hours and hours and hours and not move. I'm more animated now because I'm talking to you, trying to.
Yeah, well, sure.
But, right. But so they finally come up and we're talking and stuff. And in about an eighth of a mile away, Dan sees these 2 lights. They were one here, and they were like doing this with each other.
Oh.
Now, there's no airport there. No airport whatsoever. No houses over there. It's all woods. So he starts filming it. So I have this real powerful spotlight, which I have here. And I shined the light toward him. And Julie said, John, that's going to attract him. I went, isn't that the point? So they stopped. And the one on the right, well, be my right, went this way, came around to my right. and about maybe 300-400 yards away, it was white, and it started to land in the heavy brush on the other side, really thick brush, and it started turning red and landed on the ground. 5 minutes later, it lifted up, went back and joined the other one, and they circled each other like in a figure eight again. And then finally, one went this way, one went this way, in a blink of an eye.
Oh
This man that reported this didn't want his name put out there because he didn't want the stigma that was attached to this. Okay.
Yeah.
He's pretty well known in his community and such, and he didn't want that problem, okay, with his neighbors and stuff. Right, exactly. So, but Dan had that video. For some reason, he erased it.
Oh.
Because I wanted to show it for this show. Okay, but anyhow, that's the last time. So in my life, I consciously have seen him 10 times. 10 times.
Wow.
Starting 5 years of age. Now, let me digress. When I was 5, my dad was a chief of police and a constable in the town I lived in. He was also involved in fingerprinting departments, so he's a really good investigator. He was in it for like 55 years as a police officer before he passed. He taught me good investigative techniques. I learned most of my stuff from my father.
Nice.
Yeah. So he took me for a walk one night. We used to walk down these tracks to the woods and stuff, and there was this big slate dump where they dumped all this ash and stuff over a period of many years. It's probably a 1/4 mile in diameter, maybe a 1/2 mile wide. And I said, Daddy, look. And I saw this object. It was shaped like a big circle, about 100 feet, I guess, at the time, from my recollection. I was 5.
Yeah.
And it was glowing with a white light, like a fluorescent type light. So I could look directly at it. I said, Daddy, look. He says, Johnny, that's nothing. Ignore it.
Oh.
I'm a police officer. Okay. So I didn't think nothing of it at the time. I'm 5 years old. What do I know?
Yeah.
But moving along, after that, I'd seen other lights in the sky. Now, my main hobby is astronomy.
Okay.
I know what I see in the night sky. I built my own telescopes, reflector telescopes. I have 3 of them right here. I have one reflector, 2 refractors. I have a spotting scope. I have 2 pair of binoculars, 2 pair of monoculars. I got the stuff.
Wow.
But anyhow, so what happened is that in the summertime, I was about, I'll say 12. A bunch of us got together in the summer to play softball on this slate dump, about 30 of us all together. And I'm up to bat. And there's a river on the other side, and then a hillside, and curled around like a horseshoe.
Okay.
Anyhow, so broad daylight, again, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon this summer, one of my friends says, Johnny, look at that. It's a meteor. And I'm looking, and this thing's coming in like this, level.
Oh, wow.
Now, they don't come in level.
No.
They don't come in horizontal, okay? They come in on an angle like this.
Yep.
Okay.
Whoa.
But not only that, it turned, and it was a hillside here, and it turned and made a right angle turn.
Oh my gosh.
It was the size of a car, round, and it was spewing like orange and green and white lights off the back end of it, but it made a right angle turn. So
And this is broad daylight. You're seeing this in broad daylight. Wow.
Broad daylight with 29 or 30 other people. Wow. So I reported that to the Brownsville Telegraph, which was our newspaper in Fayette County at the time. And they called me young scientist, Stasko, and all that good stuff. But anyhow, so I started getting a rep for this kind of stuff. But other people had seen a UFO, a green one, hovering over an auxiliary power plant, not far from where I'm just talking.
Oh, wow.
So let's move further ahead. Now, there's others in between too. UFOs in the sky, I've seen it. Okay, one time I was coming out of the woods late at night. I was supposed to be camping with my buddies in the woods. I was 12, but they didn't show back up. So I stayed in the woods in my little tent. And then I got a little afraid. I was 12. I was just, listen, I'm 6'4" now. Okay. Back then I was like, when I was 12, I was probably 5'4", maybe, and about 115 pounds soaking wet. Anyhow, so I decided to come out of the woods. Well, as I'm coming out of the woods, I looked up and I saw this, looked like a dish, an inverted dish above me, and it looked like stars inside this dish. But you could see it was distorted, so it was right over top me. Now, that was about 9 o'clock at night. The next thing I know, it's 11:30 at night. My mom and dad are mad at me because they don't know where I was.
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
So that's another thing. Now, let's move further ahead. So there's one over top me. So let's move ahead now.
Okay.
The only thing I wanted for Christmas in my sophomore year in high school was a set of good walkie-talkies because I had friends that lived in a place called Long Branch. Okay. Now where I lived was there's about a 700 or 800 foot tall hill and a big barn on the top of the hill, a huge barn, in fact, which gave me scale from what I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
So I'm out there. Now my dad was working until 11 o'clock at night on patrol. So I'm out there by myself. It's cold, but little Johnny, you got to be in everything. So I'm talking to my friend on a walkie-talkie, and we signed off. And as I did, I'm facing the hillside, but I ducked and I looked up. This thing came from behind me, and it's shaped like, I'm going to draw you a picture. I don't know if I can show this to you. I brought this paper here.
Yeah.
Shaped like this. I don't know if you can see this.
Okay. Yeah.
But, okay, this is the front end up here, the back end here. Now, on the back end, it ejected a teardrop shaped thing on the back. Hold on. Like that,
okay. Yeah. Oh
now,
my gosh. Wow.
So what it did, it stopped over top me. And when I looked up, it was like a white color, but I could see clearly, I could see appendages hanging down from it. And it hovered over me, I don't know, 10 or 15 seconds. And then it ejected this teardrop. Now, this object that it ejected was about 150 feet long.
Oh my
okay.
God.
And instead of swinging, like I thought it was gaseous at first, but it wasn't. It swung down like a pendulum into the hillside. Now, to this day, that nothing grows on that hillside, still tore up, nothing. Now, this thing was so big. I used that again. I'm going to tell you about that barn. The barn was huge. I estimated the size of this thing at 800 feet long by 500 feet wide. Big as a battleship.
Wow.
A World War II the biggest battleship we had in World War II was I believe the Iowa class was 887 feet long. So this thing is probably a little bit shorter than the battleship, but much bigger, wider. So I was shocked. So I went in the house and my mom was there. She was ironing and my younger brothers and sisters were sleeping. And she said, Johnny, what happened? I guess my face was white as a sheet. And I told her what happened. She said, well, you're staying up till your dad comes home. So I stayed up. Dad came home and I told him, I said, Dad, let's go up there now. He said, no, we're not going to go up tonight. We're going to go up tomorrow. So now the only ones I told were my dad, my younger brother, Frank, and my mom. Nobody else. I later found out there were 2 other adult witnesses that were coming from down the street. But anyhow, so I go back. We go up the next day with my dad, my brother, and I. And we go up. We found the hillside tore up, as I said, but no other. At the time, I didn't have the equipment I do now. I have a Geiger counter. I have the whole 9 yards now. I got everything. But anyhow, because they're too expensive back then for a kid who's making.
Yeah. Well, sure.
I'm delivering newspapers for $2 a week anyhow.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's my first job was delivering newspapers. But anyhow, so I go back to school after Christmas break. Again, I didn't tell anybody about this. Now, back in those days, Barb, you didn't have to have security in front of the school to check you in or out. You didn't have to go through doors and all this stuff like they do today. Just this morning, I took my great-grandson to school, and there was a police officer there. We're not allowed to go in. Great, because everything's going on in the news.
Right. Anyhow, let it say, keep him safe.
Right. So I'm in 7th period study hall, and my principal, Strickler Pollock was his name. He was a little short, fat guy. He come to me and says, Johnny, he says, there's 2 men who want to see you. I said, oh, and now we had recruiters coming up to the school all the time for college, and even Secret Service guys were coming up to recruit us and California area high school. So I said, where do you want me to go? He says, go to your homeroom. It's in the front of the building next to the parking lot. And they'll be there waiting for you. I said, okay. So here I am, little tiny little John, right? I walk up and I go, and there's 2 guys. So I took the front seat in the classroom, little tiny, there's a little desk.
Yes.
These 2 guys are dressed identically. Let me describe these guys. I would estimate their height between 5'8" and 5'10".
Okay.
Pretty much the same size. Wearing black suits, black ties, white shirts, shiny black shoes, pale complexion, sunglasses, and a black fedora. 2 men in black.
Both of them. Whoa.
Now listen, my principal saw them, okay?
Oh my gosh.
So here's the thing. So I get in, I'm figuring they're going to ask me about what college I went to or I'm going to go to. And I did end up going to 4 different colleges. But anyhow, so I'm sitting there so they're saying the first thing out of their mouth is, what did you see? I went, huh? What? I don't know what they were talking about. He says, tell us about what you saw in the sky.
Oh my
And I
God.
started stuttering. He says, if you don't tell us or you tell anybody else other than us, we can put you in jail and hold you incommunicado. I didn't know what that word meant at the time. I was just a kid.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they went on to say, and I'm stunned. They says, and if we can put you in jail, we can also put you to death if we want, and no
Oh
one will
my.
know. Then they said, we can also put your family in jail or put them to death, and no one will know. 2 Men in
Oh,
Black. About that time, now the door of that homeroom was open. So my homeroom teacher was also, just conversely, turned out to be my high school football coach. He was my home big guy. His name was Pete Petroff. He weighed about 400 pounds, about 6'5", big guy. He loved me. I was a good guy and stuff. But
yeah.
little Johnny, anyhow. But I was kind of geeky back then. Don't let these glasses fool you. I can't see close up, just so you know. And I am a stud when I take them off, just so you know. But
Yeah.
anyhow,
Oh my
uh,
gosh, Brad Pitt is on my show.
don't tell anybody. Now they know where I'm at. I wish I had his money. Anyhow, so I
Yeah,
have a
right.
lot more equipment too. Anyhow, but so Pete, well, he saw my consternation, and because I looked out, and he said, "What's going on, Johnny?" And I told him these guys are threatening my life. So he
Oh my God.
walked in. He's towering over both these guys, and he says, "Oh, and this, by the way, these guys probably I estimate their weight about 150 to 160 pounds."
Oh, so they were
Okay,
small guys.
yeah, they weren't very big, but they
Yeah.
were identical. And when one would start asking me questions, Barb, the other one would, like in mid sentence, would finish the sentence. The other one,
Oh,
it was
that's
like they were
weird.
the same person. Pale complexion too, very pale, almost white.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, so Pete says, "What are you guys doing threatening this boy?" And they looked at each other non-verbally, and they walked past him. He had me get behind him, and they walked out toward the front of the school. Pete says, "Get behind me, Johnny." So I got behind him. We walked out, and we followed him out the front doors. They walked to the parking lot, and there was a Lincoln Continental there. It was black or dark blue. I'm not sure. And on the back of the plate was a plate, an Air Force plate.
Oh.
They took off like their tails were on fire.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the principal's office with my homeroom teacher, and we told him what happened, so I could call my dad. And my dad came up and took me home. We tried to find out for weeks who these people were, and we couldn't do it. We were meeting dead ends everywhere. Now, let me move ahead. I've had many instances of missing time. Many. When I was young, I started college when I was 16 years of age. I joined a fraternity called the TKEs, and they were like the Animal House for real. I don't even want to tell you what was going on there. Anyhow, so I got long hair going on, the male shag, and I started gaining weight. I went to 6 foot tall, and I've grown 4 inches since then. I don't know what's going on there, but anyhow. But here's the thing. So I really got involved, doing this stuff it's a little over 56 years now. Okay, I was pretty young. I was 16 or so when I really got heavily involved in this.
Okay.
But
Wow.
I started talking to other people who had sightings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now I remember one time I was walking through the woods, and I looked up and there was an orange object hovering maybe 100 feet away over the treetops. That's the last thing I remember.
Wow.
Now I had a car. My car was parked way down the road. The next thing I remember is waking up in the back seat of my car. I'm not drinking.
Oh
I'm
my
not
God.
getting high. I
Yeah.
don't know what happened. I was disoriented.
Oh
Okay.
wow.
I missed class that day because of it, by the way, because I was
Oh
just so disoriented.
yeah.
Now, let me move even further ahead.
Okay.
Now, May 30th, 1990, at 9 p.m. approximately, I was with my first wife who passed away. She was pregnant with our third child, and we had two younger children in the back seat, John and Heather.
Okay.
And I had the top of my Jeep off. I built this Jeep because I like going off road too. I'm not a
Oh.
geek, trust me. I'm like a combination geek, woods guy.
Uh-huh.
Anyhow, so we get to the top of this rise, and I always carry a camera. Always carry a camera. I got a camcorder. It's about this big now, and I got everything you can think of. But anyhow, so I'm showing my kids the constellations. My wife says, "John, we know what those constellations are. What's that behind us?" Now, down below the hill is this wooded area. And back then, there was hardly any homes up on this ridge. It's all like countryside, really isolated. It's 4.5 miles long, woods on there, both sides and stuff. And there's a lot of weird things going on there, which I'll get into in a minute. So I see these lights behind these trees. Now I talked about this my first time I was on your show, but I'm going to reiterate this
Yes,
just for
please. Yeah.
our viewer
Yep. That may
elucidation.
miss. Yep.
Right. So anyhow, so I look and I'm watching the lights and they're so bright through the trees, I can't even look at them. So
Oh
I'm
my
thinking,
God.
well, I have 13 off-road lights on my Jeep. So I'm thinking, well, what is it? It's probably a bunch of kids off-roading. So they do that down there.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I do it. Well, not so much anymore. My off-roading is going downstairs and getting a cup of coffee. But uh, anyhow, so I got out of the Jeep and I carried the camera with me. Now the light starts doing this, about this fast behind the trees. Now, as it clears the trees at 300 feet away, it's so bright I'm doing this. But I got the camera in this hand, the left hand. Now it starts coming toward me. Well, my next thought is, because I'm trying to look at this logically, because that's what I do, it's got to be a helicopter, because nothing can hover like that, right? The wind's blowing from my back toward that direction where it's at. So I'm thinking, well, I can't hear the rotor wash of the helicopter because of the wind. It wasn't really that windy, though, now that I think about it. There was not a star, there was not a cloud in the sky. It was a complete moonless night.
Wow.
So it starts coming toward me, and like I said, I'm on the high point of the ridge. It's on the lower point, so it has to go up higher just to clear the ridge. As it gets closer to me and closer, it's getting brighter and brighter, and I'm just shielding my face, and I'm walking further toward it, okay? My wife and children are screaming, "Get back in the Jeep."
I was just gonna ask. I bet you they were. Yeah.
Yeah, they were completely terrified.
Oh, I bet.
And I apologized later on. I apologize profusely because I'm a curious guy by nature. I need to know.
You're in the mode, like, I need to see what this is.
Right. So, I do that for ghost hunts and everything else. But anyhow, I'll get to another thing. But so it's getting closer and closer to me. It's getting brighter and brighter. So now it's maybe 50 feet away. I can't see what's causing the lights, but there's two extremely bright lights. Now I've seen jet aircraft landing near. These were way brighter, like, I don't know, 1,000,000 lumens. Okay, that's how bright they were. So finally, when it got closer, I raised my camera like this and I hit the flash. And when I did, the lights went off and this orange hemispherical dish appeared. Now the landing gear weren't like you would think tripods, like how you see. They weren't like that. They looked like if you were to take a dish. I wish I had a dish here. Okay, I can use this tape.
Okay.
Imagine this tape is the UFO, but it's a dish. The landing gear, we're going back up into it like this, into the sides. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Two sets of them, right? I'd never seen anything like that before. Now it's stopped and it's almost overtopped me, and now my wife told me this. I feel tremendous. I'm wearing a baseball cap, my traditional baseball cap, and a t-shirt, jeans, and and that's it, because it's warm out. It's May 30th. Anyhow, so I'm feeling tremendous heat, and my wife told me later I'm getting bathed in orange light. Looked like waves and waves coming down, like almost like a mirage.
And is it? It's over you at this point, like
almost completely over me.
Okay.
Maybe
wow.
If it's here, I'd be like, wait, maybe like right there. So what's it does do now? It tilts down like this.
Oh,
and when it tilted down, it was no more than 15 feet above me. And there were 3 windows in this. The 3 windows two were the same size on either side of the main window. They were like an oblong, maybe, I don't know, 2 feet tall. And the middle window was bigger and was also oblong. In those windows, as God is my judge, were 4 beings.
Oh, wow.
3 of them were the same size, about 3 to 3.5 feet tall. They were gray. The large eyes, big heads. Dark gray, though. Dark gray. In the middle window, there was a small one the same size, but there was a taller one by a head. It was lighter in color, maybe almost a white, by almost a head taller. And I got the sense that I knew this being, this creature. Well, so what do you think I did? I'm looking up at this. I got 7 pictures of this thing. 7, not 1, not 2, but 7. And I got the original film, by the way, so you can get it tested.
Oh, wow.
I went like this to them, and they did this with 4 fingers, big long fingers, like this much longer than mine.
Wow.
And waved at me. I was thrilled. I wasn't afraid of anything. And it tilted back up, and in a blink of an eye, now the whole time there was no sound, right? Blink of an eye, bang, it was gone.
Oh my
Now
gosh.
the ridge is real winding. Okay, so it was traveling over the trees on the right hand side of the road, but in a jerky motion like this. And it was still orange. And I got pictures of it at that point too. I took two more pictures, in fact, of it. So I ran back to the Jeep. I got in the Jeep and I'm going 60 mile an hour on this windy road to keep up with this thing, probably going 20 or 30 knots in the air.
Wow.
So I came down around the turn and it disappeared over the hillside. Now at this point, I'm feeling a lot of heat, a lot of heat. My wife told me I was where everything was exposed, like my hair was longer than it was coming out. It was falling out. My arms were burned. My face was burned.
Oh my
Everything that
gosh.
was exposed were burnt. So I said, I'm taking you down to my brother Ralph's house. Now, Ralph you remember those full-size camcorders they used to have? They were huge.
Yep. Oh yeah.
He had one. And I told you this on the last show too, but I want to get more into depth about aliens and such an abduction cases. But so we went down there and I told him what happened. He said, we're going to go back up there. He said, John, we got to take you to the hospital too. I said, later, we'll go later.
Gosh.
So I left my kids there and my wife, and we came back up in his Chevy Silverado because his Silverado was faster than my Jeep. My Jeep was meant to go off road, not to be flying down the road.
Yeah.
So we go up there and he has 3 fully charged batteries. He puts the first battery in and we don't see one object, we see 3 identical objects, like in a triangle, one at the top, one in each corner. And they were hovering right at this crossroads out there. So Ralph starts filming. We got 5 seconds of film. The battery dies. They're fully charged. He puts a second battery in, gets 2 seconds of film. The battery dies.
Oh
He
my
puts the
gosh.
third battery in. The battery dies completely, and the lights go off on the blazer. When it did, the one at the top goes straight up. The other 2 go left to right. So I'm like really excited and stuff. He says, John, your skin's coming off. We got to get you to the doctor.
Gosh.
So back then they had a hospital called the Brownsville General Hospital in Fayette County. So that's the closest hospital to us at the time. So we went there and he said, on the way, he said, John, what are you going to tell him? You can't tell him you got zapped by a flying saucer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, well, I'll just tell him I fell asleep under an ultraviolet lamp.
Oh.
He said, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
So we go to the hospital. They got me in the waiting area. And I got me in pretty quick though. I have to, and the emergency room doctor says, so what happened, Mr. Stasko? I says, I fell asleep under an ultraviolet lamp. He looked at me, tilted his head, went, you're going to stick with that story? I said, yeah, because of the stigma attached to it. Okay?
Yes. Yeah.
You got to remember the time back then, the way it was. It wasn't like today where it's more acceptable to talk about this stuff. More, but not completely yet.
Yeah, because I feel like it, even if you walked into an emergency room in today, they might be like, are you on medication? Are you, that's
Next
the first
thing
thing they're going to get.
I'd be 302 and put in the mental ward. I know.
Yeah.
Right. But here's the thing. So they tested me. I had 3rd-degree burns everywhere my skin was exposed.
Oh
now,
my gosh.
So let me go further. Okay. Now I've been under regression twice too, just so you know. But I'm going to get to that in a minute. When years later I developed cancer. Nobody in my family has cancer. Okay. So I went up I was on chemotherapy for 6.5 years. I was almost in stage 4 cancer. I was losing weight. I went from 240 pounds down to 169 pounds. If I'd have stuck my tongue out, I would have looked like a thermometer.
Oh my gosh.
You remember, I'm 6'4". I mean, I would have looked like this.
Oh,
okay?
wow.
So after I got off the chemo and I went to see Dr. Doherty up here at Hillman Cancer Center in Washington, PA, which is a derivative of UPMC in Pittsburgh, Hillman Cancer Center, one of the best in the nation. And just so happens, Dr. Doherty is himself a UFO witness. So he believed me. So he did some testing on me. And turns out, he says, you were exposed to some kind of ionizing radiation.
Oh.
It almost took my life. Almost took my life. Now, on top of that, it was so bad. No, just keep in mind, most cancer patients, when they get radiation, they don't get more than 35 to 38 doses. Any more, and that's kind of bad. I got 56.
Oh my gosh.
It was 2 at a time. In fact, they called me Superman there, and they bought me a T-shirt called "He's Superman" because I used to joke with them, and I'd say to them, "Look," I says, "if you make me mad, I'm going to turn green like the Incredible Hulk."
Yeah.
But this was during COVID, and there was nobody. My wife couldn't go in with me and anything else. And there was a man in a chair next to me. I talked to for 2 weeks, but we had masks on. He was ahead of me. I talked to him one day, he looked at me and died right in front of me. Nobody else was in the room.
Oh gosh. Oh.
So, I mean, I've seen a lot of death in my life, but
Yeah.
anyhow. So let me move ahead now. So the next day, I got a hold of my friend Devin. He was my co-investigator. Now, he was a nuclear engineer for Bettis Corporation, Westinghouse division. He designs and builds reactors for atomic subs. He has a security clearance. Okay, he lives in West Mifflin. He's bigger than me. He's 6'6.5", 660 pounds. He makes me look like a child.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
But he's a good guy, you know. I don't know if he's still alive or not. I've talked to him for many years. But anyhow, so I got a hold of him, and we went up the next day where the craft was on the ground. It was on the ground. And what I don't understand, Barb, is why no one from MUFON has contacted me. I've tried contacting MUFON about it, and I've been banging my head against the wall. So I have very little faith in MUFON, just so you know. Almost none.
Whoa. I have some contacts out here on the West Coast, but I don't know anybody back there. But anyway, so go ahead. Oh my gosh.
Well, I do actually. I know a guy who's in MUFON. He's a West Virginia director and stuff. And he looked into it. He said he can't find any record of that. But anyhow, so we go up there and we found imprints on the ground. Now, I had something called a soil compaction device. Now, at the time, I was an environmental specialist for this company, a site supervisor. And if I had a device that measures the depth of the imprint and the weight that it would take a certain piece of ground to make the depth of that imprint. In other words, the weight.
Yeah.
When I checked the depth of that imprint, it indicated a weight of 30 tons. 30 tons was on the ground.
Wow.
I found 2 sets of marks where like landing gear had been on the end. Okay. But here's the thing. Before I even did that, we had Geiger counters. We went up there. We had radiation badges on. We started walking into that area, and our badges turned red immediately.
Oh, wow.
So we set down the Geiger counter and backed out. We watched the Geiger counter drop down over a couple hours till it was safe, and we walked into it. We found plants that were melted. I also measured the width of the craft. Now, that's how big I know it was. Exactly 50 feet in diameter. 50 feet. Okay. So it was on the ground. Now, my question is this. Why? It's been my experience that UFOs, alien craft, do not just land without purpose. Okay. Now, there was a family up there, a husband and wife, who were professors at California University, which is now Penn West. So we went up to their door and knocked on their door to talk to them, and they refused to talk to us. We identified the door and everything else, but they were like, they had to have seen this craft land because their house is right across from it.
Yeah.
But they didn't say anything. Well, anyhow, so Devin and I started doing stakeouts up on this ridge. So we went up there one night, and there's this place, Barb, you have to see this. I'm going to have to send you this picture so you don't think I'm making this stuff up. There's a church. It's an outdoor church. There's a cemetery built around. It goes back to the 1700s. And there's a big concrete platform and a tabernacle right there. And they have seats outside. And there's a bell tower outside as well. So we parked. It's a really good vantage point for this valley and these hills. So we parked on the left-hand side of the road. On the right-hand side of our road was a bunch of trees at the time and a big field you couldn't see into. Keep that in mind. So we're sitting there a couple hours. This is after a period of time. We've been going every Saturday, Friday night, every time going up there. So Devin says to me, Johnny, now listen to this. I'm getting ahead of myself. I don't like mustard at the time.
Okay.
I'm a mayo ketchup guy. Okay. Anyhow, so I'm in my Jeep, and Devin says, John, do you want a sandwich? My wife made us some sandwiches. I says, Sierra, what do you got? He goes, I got some bologna sandwiches here. I said, what's on? He goes, mustard. I went, no, it's in a plastic bag, baggie. It was fresh too. So I said, well, I'll eat it later on. I had no intention of eating. Anyhow, so I set it on my dash. So about that time, he said, look over there to our left. We look over our left, and we saw 3 look like saucer-shaped craft, white again in color, hovering about 300 feet away to our left. I'm starting to look at, that's the last thing we remember. 2-3 hours later, we come up, we woke up like we've been asleep.
Oh my gosh.
Completely disoriented. So we had to go get gas in my Jeep because it's a gas hog, 14 miles to the gallon. That's one of the reasons I got rid of it. Anyhow, so I have an SUV now, it's 31. Anyhow, so we go to the gas station. We're trying to figure out what happened to us. We couldn't hardly talk to each other. We were so disoriented. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So I went to at the time I belonged to Stan Gordon's group, PASHU. I was an investigator, as was Devin for his group. So Stan knew he had some contacts. He decided to set up a hypnotic regression force with this lady.
Oh, nice.
And we went up to Leechburg, PA. And I've never had a panic attack in my life. As I drove up there, I had a panic attack. Now I know why. At the time, I didn't know why.
Mm.
Well, I'll tell you why in a bit.
Okay.
But anyhow, so I went back home from Leechburg, which is a fur trip. Set it up again. This time I forced myself to go with my wife, and we went up. Devin, we weren't allowed to talk to each other for 2 weeks, so we wouldn't cross-contaminate each other with what we had to say.
Mm-hmm.
Devin went in first, and they got him under hypnosis within 15 minutes.
Mm.
He come out. I didn't talk to him. He left. I talked to him much later, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went in, and it took him an hour to get me under because I have a really super strong will.
Mm-hmm.
An hour. Now, Stan was there. They were videotaping it. Everything else. It's a clear, sunny day. No problem. The minute I was under hypnosis and started talking, it got overcast, lightning and thunder, camcorder and the tape recorders wouldn't work, nothing.
Oh,
and what I told that woman was so horrifying to her, she refused to do any more hypnotic regressions.
Really? Oh my gosh.
She said, I'll never do another one again after this. Because it scared her so bad. I'm going to tell you what was said, but I'm going to get to that. So then again, later on, Stan set it up with a guy named William Duffy. Now, Mr. Duffy was a police officer for Pittsburgh City Police for 30 years. He did hypnotic regressions for victim and witnesses memory enhancement. So they set it up, and my sister-in-law, my wife, and I went down to McMurray, PA, Canonsburg area, to do this. He lived in a condo. And we went in, and he said, we're going down to, I have a game room downstairs, and we're going to put you under. Took him about an hour to get me under. Again, I have a very strong will.
Mm-hmm.
He tested me by telling me to put my left arm up and make it into a steel rod. And they all tried to move it, and it wouldn't budge. So they knew I was under.
Yeah.
What I told him under hypnosis, and I have the tape of that, an 8-track tape of all things. I have to get that transferred to a CD or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I'll send you a copy of that. So I want you to hear this stuff because it's going to scare the living hell out of you.
Oh my gosh.
He went back and he called Stan and told Stan he's the real deal. Now we went up. Now there's a woman named Evelyn Sherman, was one of my co-investigators, and we were sitting at Stan's house on a Wednesday night. There was maybe 15 of us watching some films. I'm sitting right next to her with my right hand on a chair, and she's on my left. Or my right side. She looks at my wrist and she sees they're talking about scoop marks on the TV. I got one on my wrist. I didn't even realize I had it.
Wow.
I didn't think anything of it because it was a screen memory block.
Oh.
So that really got them going. I have an identical one on my inside of my right ankle. I got when I was 5. This has been happening to me all my life. All my life. Now, after that, I told the members of PASHU what was going on, and they wanted to come up there. And there was about 12 or 13 of us went up one night, and we met at that cemetery. Now, the reason we met at this cemetery, it wasn't completely kosher to do this, but the back of the cemetery was really a great vantage point to look down in this valley into those hills. Okay. So we set up some cameras and things like this. And this gets into the kind of the ghost thing too. But anyhow, so there was a man, his son he had committed suicide when he was 16. Oh. He was buried in an unhallowed part of the ground back there. And his father had built a bench out of 3 logs, about 5 foot long. Then he had 2 smaller logs underneath to support it. Weighed about 150 pounds. Okay. So one of the people with us was a police officer from North Versailles. Big guy. He says, and I told him a story about this kid hung himself in a barn because he was screwed up doing drugs and everything. Yeah. And this guy shouldn't have said this. He goes, well, I wonder where if his feet are touching the ground wherever he's at.
Oh boy.
He said that log lifted up, traveled 10 feet, dropped at his feet. 150-pound log. Got it on film. Scared the hell out of him. Oh. There's like 12 or 13 of us. So anyhow, moving ahead that same night. So Evelyn and I decided we're going to go in my Jeep and travel the width of that road, the length of the road, 4.5 miles, and then come back and see if we see anything. As we're going down, that we didn't see anything. The rest of the people from the past was up at the cemetery. We have a walkie-talkie. We go down there on the way back. She's on the passenger side, of course. We're coming up this hill. She sees a UFO hovering over a barn, the exact same kind I saw. We radio ahead. Radio's not working right.
Oh, of course
It
not.
head toward it. No one saw anything. Now,
Oh my gosh.
right. Now, listen, I don't care if people believe me or not. I really don't care. At 72 years of age, I know what happened. So do the people who were with me know what happened. Okay. In every case I've been on, every case, okay, I've had multiple witnesses, UFOs and or Bigfoot, ghosts, you name it. I've had multiple witnesses. I'll always make sure of that, except when I was abducted. But the one time I was taken, that night, Devin was with me. Remember I said about the 3 UFOs to our left over the hillside?
Yeah. Yes.
The main craft was behind us on the other side of those trees.
Oh, wow.
What I said under hypnosis was, and so did Devin, when we put our stories together, is they came to the door, opened the door up, and they got us out. There were 5 of them.
Oh my gosh.
The craft was in that field behind these trees where no one could see it. 3 of them took Devin. I guess because he's bigger than me. 1 on either side, 1 behind, or 1 in front of him. And they were leading us to this craft. 2 were with me, 1 on either side. Now, as I remember going in, now when you walk into this craft, it's like a wall, right? You're like, you walk in the doorway and there's a wall there. It's kind of curved, and there's steps to the right that goes up and around into the top of the craft.
Okay.
Well, Devin went in and went up the craft to the steps to the right. I went up and I stopped myself somehow. I don't know how I did. Put my hand on the side of the craft, and it was warm. And I turned my head real slowly and forced myself, and it looked like layers of laminate, maybe 4 inches, 5 inches thick. They guided me to the right and went up into the top of the craft, up those steps, which were very narrow but big enough for us to get up. When we went up into the craft, the thing I noticed, your sense of smell is the thing you remember the most. When you were you remember your grandmother making bread or people, things you cook.
You're right.
Okay, your sense of smell is number 1. Your sense of sight is number 2. Anyhow, so I go into the craft, and the first thing I noticed, well, as I'm walking up the raft, I should say, it sounded like I was walking on fiberboard or something. That's what it sounded like, although it was metallic, some kind of metal, but I'm not sure what. I just don't know.
Yeah.
So, but I noticed the smell was of wet cardboard, like wet cardboard.
Oh, wow.
Then when I got into the upper part of the craft, it was like a very dim purplish light. Now it looked like kind of organic on the inside of the craft. In other words, it looked like everything was built into the walls and the craft itself. It's not like machinery.
Yeah.
But they made Devin sit on this bench. It was built into the right-hand side of this wall. There were 2 little seats and a screen in front, about 10 feet away from where I was. And there was a table in the middle, like I want to say like an island in the kitchen.
Okay.
But it was a table, and it was solid. And I couldn't tell really what color it was, because the color of the inside of that craft was, like I said, like a light purple. So if it had been some other color, I wouldn't be able to tell. So they made him sit there, and he was in like a stupor. He just didn't move, like he was in a trance. Me, they made get up on this table, and they took my clothes off. Now I'm looking up like this, and as I'm looking up, there's a round circle above me. As I'm looking up, I could see the ground below me.
Oh my gosh!
It was like a TV screen above me, but it was round. It came on, and I could see the ground receding away from me. So we were up in the air.
Oh.
Okay. So.
Wow.
But anyhow, they told me they did something to me, and they said, "We saved your life. We did something to your blood, and we saved your life." I have Rh negative blood.
Somebody just asked, Little Twisted said, "May I ask if you're Rh negative?" Yes.
Yeah, I am Rh negative.
Okay.
I'm one of 3% of the people on the planet have Rh negative blood.
I do too.
I actually met one last week. It was an old lady who had Rh negative blood. It's the first other person I know.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yep.
Hybrid.
Why's my witness?
Hybrid.
Oh, I've been told that. I've been told that. Wow.
Well, I got to tell you about that too.
Okay.
But anyhow, so I have to watch my time. I'll be on Les Odell's at 7 o'clock, just so you know. But I'm going to talk as long as I can. anyhow,
Okay,
so
yeah, please.
but yeah, anyhow, so where am I at with this? Where did I
Well,
say? I have
let me get to the other question. What Latro wanted to know what happened to the bologna sandwiches? Were they gone?
no, they were still there, but they were hard as a
Okay.
rock.
Okay.
Hard as a rock.
Oh, whoa.
Because
Okay.
we were
All
going
right.
so long. We were gone at least 2 to 3 hours, so they got hard.
Whoa.
Right. And this is like this was like I guess it was like April or May, but it got hard as a rock. Couldn't eat it if I wanted to
Oh
at
my
that point.
gosh. Wow.
So anyhow, so all this is reported back to Stan. Anyhow, now I just want to say something. This ridge area has been the focus of a lot of things. Bigfoot, unsolved murder, satanic ritual. Okay, all kinds of stuff goes on up here. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff goes on up there. Now, I want to say something. Now when you and I talk, you can see my face, I can see yours. Right now, we're doing something called. You're getting information from me by the way I look. I'm getting it from you by the way you look. I can see you're very interested in what I'm saying. You can see I'm very focused about what I'm saying.
Right.
Nonverbal communication. But you're getting stuff from me. Now imagine, if you will, Barb, or our guests are listening in, that we had say for instance you were an alien, you had tremendous telepathic ability. All human beings have an innate ability for telepathy. Now, if you're probing my mind with your massive power of telepathy, you're opening the door a little bit to yours. Got it?
Right.
What I saw in their minds tells me they're not here to help. They are here, they have their own agenda. That agenda is to create a new hybrid race. They told me that I was one of the chosen, not the chosen, not the one and only, one of the chosen, and one of the good army. And those words, but telepathically they said, okay. I also saw a picture in my mind of their home world. Their home world isn't like ours. They have a red sun for their star. And their planet is very dim. It's like twilight, which means their eyes, that's why their eyes are so big to gather more light.
Okay.
They have no melanin in their skin. That's why they're gray.
Okay.
We have melanin in our skin that protects us from ultraviolet radiation. But imagine if we lived in perpetual twilight. We'd all be pretty pale, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
But I saw their home world. Now, as far as trees and such on their home world, they're not like our trees. They're like, what I saw were like, look, crystalline. Like, they looked like a tree, but they weren't. They were like crystalline. And these creatures, they don't live on the surface. They live underground. Their planet is very dry, very dry. Okay. Now, what I believe these creatures are, I think they're biological constructs. I don't think they're born that way. I think they're made. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to say about this as well, for their size, they probably weigh 20, 30 pounds tops, but they're very strong for their size. Now, because of their height, that indicates now we're the height we are because of our gravitational pull of our planet, correct? Got it? I'm 6'4", but if I were on Mars where the gravity's lesser of the moon, I'd be much taller, but much weaker. Got it? So they're small, which indicates a high gravity world to me. Okay. So, but they're strong for their size. The other thing I noticed too, when I looked into that doorway of their mind, was that they're not the top level. There's something over them and something over that. The thing I saw next up in the line, like like bees have an hierarchy, the queen, the worker, the drones. The next one up is the mantis type creature. That's what I would call the handler. Okay. The one that was on the craft that I saw, the lighter colored one, that's what I call the mission commander. The other ones were simply doing their job like drones would do. Okay. Driving the craft, collecting samples, whatever.
Okay.
But above the mantis is something else. I couldn't see that. But I know there's something above that even. Now, I admire Carl Sagan and Neil deGrasse Tyson, because they're really good in their fields. They were, okay, now are. But most of them say that the distances in space are so vast, even at the speed of light would take a long, long time, hundreds of thousands of millions of years to get here. I got news for you both. They've made the trip already.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Wow.
They've either made the trip through a wormhole or by bending time and space. Now, I want to show you something here real quick.
Okay.
I'm going to explain what time and space bend, how you bend time and space.
Oh, yes, please. Wow.
Now, you see this? Let's imagine this is space. And this is Earth here on this end, and this is their home world here.
Okay.
Now, to travel in a straight line would take you, say, 1,000,000 years. But if you bend time and space,
wow.
there's the wormhole right in between. Got it?
That's it. Yeah, that makes sense. Yep.
Okay. But space is not empty. There's dark matter in space as well. Like I said, my hobby is astronomy. Okay. That comprises most of the matter in space. It's dark matter. Okay. But what I'm saying is they've been here. Now, I also believe, I know it's going to sound really crazy, but I hope everybody bears with me.
I'm telling John, I just have to say, like, you don't ever have to say that, because just about every guest we have, they literally say, everybody's going to think I'm crazy. And it's like, no, we're not. We don't.
Well, the things I'm about to say is this. There's been a time in our prehistory that the Native Americans, the ancient man, said there was no moon in the sky. The moon I believe the moon is an artificial construct or a hollowed out asteroid that was brought here. And I believe the reason it was brought here in close proximity to the planet is to maintain the seasons for growing and the tides. Without the moon, we probably wouldn't have evolved to the stages we are. Got it? Now, when the Apollo craft, when it went to the moon and they ejected the lander, it hit the moon, it rang for 8 hours like a bell. That indicates the moon is hollow. Got it?
Yeah.
So I believe that's a base. What better base can you possibly have for a barbaric civilization like we are? Well, I'm not going to say me, but everybody else, to observe the planet but be in total safety. Okay. The moon, Mars. Okay. Some of the moons of Jupiter, Saturn, okay, or Uranus or Neptune. Okay. They're all habitable with the kind of technology they have. Now, just so you know, they did tell me that their civilization is approximately 5 million years older than ours.
Wow.
5 million years. Our civilization, as we know it, is probably 10 to 15,000 years old. 5 million years in advance in technology, and we don't work together. Imagine if we were like ants and we all work together for the common good. Where would we be? How much further along will we be?
Can't even imagine. Yeah, cannot even imagine.
And what if we all had telepathy to actually work? So mind to mind. There'd be no schools, because everything I'd know.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Okay. But the problem with human beings is we don't have that connection like that. We're too wrapped up in, and I don't want to get political or anything like this, but we're too wrapped up in skin color, ethnicity, those things. We're hating on each other for all the wrong reasons. And we're all members of the same human race, okay?
Yes.
No matter listen.
Absolutely.
The last thing I got 5 biracial granddaughters, okay? And I have 5 biracial great granddaughters and son.
Yeah.
And 3 biracial granddaughters. So there's no racism in me. I used to march with people back in the day. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember all those marches. I was in them myself. Okay. So fighting for justice and liberty and equality.
And it should be,
yes. What I'm getting at though is this: the human race, as we know it, is being manipulated.
Yes.
Okay. And it's been manipulated for a long time. Now I want to say this too to our viewers. Look, I had two separate groups. Their members, they had psychics in each group that do readings on people. I had these 2 separate people that never knew each other do a separate. They asked me to do a reading on me. I said, sure, why not? They came back separately and said, you're not quite human.
Oh, wow.
Now, just so you know, none of my brothers and sisters and I'm the oldest, look alike. And it's not the mailman that delivered the mail that got me, okay, got my mom.
Yeah.
I am much taller than all, and the tallest one other than me is 5'8". I'm 6'4". They all have green eyes and blue eyes. I got dark brown eyes. Okay, I'm much bigger than all of them.
Where are you in the birth order?
Number 1.
Okay.
Now, I'll
Mhm.
tell you the story about that. For 7 years, my mom and dad tried to have a child and couldn't have a child. And my dad was, to put it bluntly, a horn dog. Okay. So I don't know how else to put it. Okay. So it's not like for lack of trying, but
Yes.
my mom saw a newspaper clipping of a baby one time. She saved it. She thought, she prayed to God to have a baby that looked just like it. 7 years to the day I was born, it looked like
Oh,
that
wow.
baby. And when I was born on a Wednesday night in a thunderstorm, I had long black hair down on my shoulders,
Oh my
black
gosh.
eyes, and dark complected. And my mom's nurse came in with me and says, "We can tell what his daddy is." She goes, "What's that?" "He looks like an Indian."
Oh, whoa.
So
Wow.
now I'm just
And it
telling you, okay,
and it's not, and you're not, right? You're not
well,
Native American?
well, I have some in me, but not, I guess
Not
I'm a
to that
Heinz
extent.
57. I got
Gotcha.
Russian, German, Polish, French, and Indian in me, so I'm a Heinz 57. But anyhow,
Yeah, yeah.
what I'm getting at is that I believe aliens are among us as hybrids. I believe they're controlling certain aspects of our world insofar as government, not as leaders, but as advisors, as people with a lot of money pulling strings, things of this nature. Okay. Now, a lot of the discoveries we made a lot of discoveries since 1947 during the Roswell crash. Fiber optics is just one of them. Okay. Things of this nature. Okay. Now, Colonel Corso was in charge of the stuff that supposedly recovered from the Roswell crash. He made a statement in a book I read about him that said that fiber optics and other things came from recovered alien technology at Roswell. Okay.
Mm.
Just today, I'm watching the Travel Channel and they were talking about this stuff at Area 51, Dulce,
Yeah,
New Mexico, these places, Edwards Air Force Base, when supposedly President Eisenhower met with two groups of aliens, the
yeah.
Nordiques and the Greys.
Mhm.
So, yeah. And the deal, by the way, supposedly, allegedly, was that the Nordiques wanted us to take, and they look like us, but blonde and tall. They wanted
Mhm.
us to take and disarm ourselves with no nuclear missiles. In exchange, they would give us limited technology to help us. Eisenhower said no. The Greys, on the other hand, said they would give us technology if they were allowed to abduct human beings and give the list of people they abducted, returned unharmed, to the government.
Mhm.
That didn't happen. After a while, they stopped giving the list. They just
Oh,
started taking people.
wow.
Every night in this country and around the world, 600 people at least are taken. That's a fact that I looked
Whoa.
up.
Wow.
Okay, how many more that haven't come forward? I
Wow.
have what I believe is an implant right in my chest, right here in my abdomen. Okay,
Uh-huh.
it's non-metallic. It's not a cyst. It's nothing like that. Right here in my chest. Overnight it came right here. I have no idea what it is, but
Wow.
some point I'm going to get it taken out. But that's going to be elective surgery. Okay.
Mhm.
Anyhow, women
Let me
are.
hold on before we get further. Because there are some questions that I don't want to get too
Sure.
little twisted. Is asking John, why do you think you have these experiences?
Because I think it's two reasons. One, because they say that I believe my wife will tell you, she knows I think differently than anybody else. Okay. I have an eidetic memory. Okay. I
Wow.
I am, for my size, and I'm not bragging. After I had my hip replaced, my wife didn't want me to do anything strong or it was arduous. I said, I'm going to show you something. I can do something. I went out to her car and I picked the front end of her car up off the
Oh my
ground.
gosh.
At
Oh
that
my
time,
god.
at that time I was 71 years of age.
Mhm.
People have
Wow.
told me I'm about 2 to 3 times as strong as a normal guy.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah.
which is fine. That's fine because I can lift things you would not believe what I can lift. But my point is, the other reason I want to say is this: I think when they told me I was one of the chosen, one of the good army. Okay,
Mhm.
now let me get to that too. There was a case in a place called Low Hill, PA, and we got a call from Stan, who was our director at the time.
Mhm.
He told us about this woman who was an abductee. So Devin and I went down to see this woman. He got out of my Jeep first. It was summertime, and it wasn't far from that ridge area. It's
Yeah.
all around this area. And so he got out and she started talking to him and stuff. Then I got out of the Jeep and she saw me and her face turned white. She didn't want to even talk to me. She was scared. Finally, Devin talked her into talking to me. Then she admitted, she says, I know who you are. I know you. I said, where did you see me in the store or what? She goes, no, you were with them. I went, what? She said, you were with them when they took me.
Oh my
I
gosh.
said, what are you talking about? She says, you were working with them, helping them to calm me down.
Whoa,
I
whoa.
had never met this woman in my whole life that I'm
Oh
consciously
my
aware of.
God. That's
So
wow.
supposedly I was helping them. Now,
Whoa.
let me just say this. If it cost me my life, and I can honestly say with all my heart, as much as I love my wife and my family and my children and grandchildren, great grandchildren,
Mhm.
if the aliens would come down and say to me right now, "You want to go?" I'd go.
Really?
And they
Mm.
told me when I was under hypnosis, they asked me, "Do you want to go with us?" And at the time, my wife, as I told you, was pregnant with our third child, Stephen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, "No, I have a new child." They said, "Well, the next
Oh,
time next time we ask you, you have no choice. You have to come with us,
oh
but you cannot ever return."
wow.
They told me that. It's on my hypnotic regression tapes
Mhm.
both
Mhm.
times. What
Mhm.
I have seen under regression, and this is the scary part, I've seen human dissection and vivisection where people are alive being dissected,
Oh gosh.
not to be eaten, but
Oh,
to be
that's
studied.
yes.
I've seen women having their babies that were taken, they were implanted, taken out of them,
Oh,
and if the fetus survived, they kept the fetus. If it didn't, they disposed of the fetus and
oh.
returned the woman. They sometimes take people and they never return them.
Mhm.
You know who
Wow.
Travis Walton is, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Travis. Okay, Travis made a statement, and I believe him on this because what he described on the insides of craft, I know because I saw the same type of stuff on the inside of the craft I saw.
Mhm.
So I know when people tell me if they're telling the truth, and I also
Mhm.
know when they're bullshit.
And there's many people that have had UFO encounters and have claimed to be abducted that give the same description
Right?
and
Exactly.
have no idea who he is. I mean, it's
Right.
like, yeah, so yeah, wow.
Right. So, but the thing is, they do take women and they implant them and
Mhm.
use them as an incubator for an alien human hybrid. Now, Travis Walton said when he was taken for those 4 or 5 days that he fought them, the Greys at first, and they left, and then two human-looking beings, blonde, a man looking like human beings,
Mhm.
took and calmed him down and led him away. Okay, he was in a big hangar where there were other craft, a bigger craft, and they were taking him in and stuff of this nature. So my contention is this: is that, and he also said that there was low gravity there, which again reinforces what I said about the moon or some other planetary body, okay, where there's no gravity or light gravity, okay. So that reinforces what I'm saying about the moon and other stuff. But
Mhm.
anyhow, so but they do take women, they take their children, and one of
Mhm.
the things I remember under hypnotic regression, I was shown a room full of children. Okay, I was
Mhm.
35, 36 at the time, and I was in this round room like a dome, and and around the wall were some grays standing, and next to the grays were these little stocky creatures wearing like purplish and blue robes, and they looked. I hate to say this, but they kind of look like, remember the pig creatures in Star Wars?
Yeah, yeah.
They kind of look like that.
Oh,
Not quite
wow.
piggish though, but they kind of look
Yeah.
like that. And to me, they were like proctors when the children were acting up, but the
Oh,
children never made a noise. And they showed me these children, and they showed me one in particular,
oh,
and I felt a kinship with this child. It was a male.
oh, oh.
So
Mm.
now I've had 5 kids of my own. One passed away from, and when she was very young, and the other four are still alive. But and they're all in their 40s, late 30s, and 40s. But I felt a tremendous kinship with this little child, and I got to stay there for maybe what I estimated 10 minutes. And I held its little hands. It couldn't have been more than 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old, and its hands were very cold, but it was very pale complected, had very large eyes though, and a
Mhm.
larger head than a little kid that age.
Mhm.
Okay, but I felt a tremendous kinship with this.
Oh.
So I don't know if that's my child from like
Mhm.
I don't know. Now other people have said the same thing. Whitley Strieber
Mhm.
said the same thing. Okay,
Mhm.
so but what I'm trying to get to get to across to your viewers is this: I know Whitley, and I respect Whitley immensely. Okay, he thinks these creatures are benevolent. They are not. They really don't care. They don't
Mhm.
care what we think. Okay,
Mhm. Mm-hmm.
They have their own agenda, and their agenda is we're human genetic fodder for their use.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's it.
Mm.
If
Okay.
they wanted this world, they don't have to come like they did in Independence Day and with alien
Uh-huh.
spaceships using ray. They don't have to do that. Look, if they wanted to wipe us out, here's the deal. They could take and steer some big asteroids into the Earth that kill the dinosaurs,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the end of the human race,
That'd
right?
be it. That'd be it. Yeah.
That's not their agenda. Their agenda is they want the world, and they're not the only ones though. There are the Greys are here, yes. The reptilians have been here, and they live underground.
Okay.
They've been here. Then you
Let
have
me
the
let me
North.
let me ask you some questions because people have touched on this. John, it's clear that you're highly intelligent.
Thank
Do
you.
you receive downloads from them?
Sometimes in dreams. In dreams,
Okay.
they
Okay.
come to me in dreams. Now, I will tell you one thing. One time it was in November, and there was a lot of leaves on the ground outside. My wife and I were in bed upstairs in our house. We had a pretty big house at the time, and I know I don't go outside at night in my bare feet. Not in November.
Yeah.
I woke up the next morning with my wife yelling at me like, What'd you do?" I went, "What are you talking about?" She said, "Look at your feet." I had leaves on my feet.
Wow.
The last thing I remember that night were blue lights, like a blue light shining in through my window, and that was it.
Oh my
I,
gosh. Yeah.
that's all
Yeah.
I remember. So, but the downloads they're talking about are like, I have dreams where I'm supposed to go back up there, and I continually, my wife will tell you, I go up there at least once a week on the ridge. She's afraid if I go by myself, I'm not coming back.
Okay.
So she wants to go with me. Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She's been with me on a Mothman investigation and other stuff, but
Oh,
and
nice.
and she's all we believe she saw a Bigfoot as well, but which I think I've seen maybe 6 times, 4 for sure. But the thing is this is that I know there's something different about me.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know what it is, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But well, even in the group when I belonged to Stan's group, was they said it seems like wherever you go, something happens. Not all the time, but enough where it's beyond mere coincidence.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Right.
now I'm going to be going up on Chestnut Ridge area, Summit Mountain, way back in the wilderness for 2 days with the whole group that's up there that I've never met before. And they're going to leave, and I'm going to stay up there for probably 3 to 5 more days by myself in the wilderness.
Oh,
I don't care. I'm fine.
yeah.
Okay. And like I told everybody, they said, well, "Aren't you afraid that someone comes and gets you?" I said, "Look, I've been through a lot of stuff in my life. Okay. I've been shot at, I've been stabbed, I've been hit
Oh,
with a
wow.
pipe and everything else. And I've seen Bigfoot. I've had cancer. I've had COVID 3 times. I've had blood clots that almost took me out, and I'm still here."
Yeah.
So the
You're
people say,
not
"Well, maybe,
afraid.
yeah." Well, here's what people say. They say, "Well, God has a plan for you." I said, "No, He's punishing me for all the stuff I did. That's what He's doing. He's punishing me." But the thing is, here's the thing I want to tell our viewers and stuff. You know, there's a lot of groups out there that espouse, you can go on their groups and talk openly about your experiences. But you got to remember something about some of these groups. A lot of them, in fact, they're there for entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
They're not there, and there'll be negative trolling on there and everything else. So you got to be very particular what group you join.
Yes,
I can
definitely.
recommend some groups. One of which is yours. You can join your group in Grizzlies, and
Thank
I
you.
mean, and Bill Rigby's group, and
Mhm.
Hartman's group, and or Dan Benoit's group, and John Lanigan's group is Bob Lazar and beyond. I'm his administrator in that group too, up in Canada. So, and Polly Rotterman, by the way, is in Israel. She's one of my administrators. I made her one of my administrators,
Oh,
but
wow.
she's a journalist over, so she tells me everything's going on in Israel at the time.
That's good to
The boss,
we've another question. Is it Elena or Elena Danon says that all the grays are gone off the earth. Do you agree with this?
no, I
Okay.
think that what they're at, I think they have you've heard of USOs, right? Underwater submersible objects.
Uh-huh.
And they've been seen coming out of the ocean by our Navy.
Okay.
Okay. I
Yep.
believe that they have bases at the bottom. Okay. And what I want to tell you about their craft is this: they can generate some kind of field that's so strong that they can enter the water without a splash or leaving. They can
Mm.
also travel at supersonic speeds under the water. Now, our best submarines can go maybe 50 miles an hour under the
Yeah.
water. Okay. We're talking 700 some miles an hour under the water without making a wake.
Wow.
I believe that they have bases off of Puerto Rico, off of Catalina Island, off the state of California, and by the Antarctic, because that's pretty hostile territory. By the way, that's a
Yeah.
whole continent. covered by 2 to 3 miles of ice, just
Oh
so
my
you know.
God.
That's a continent, okay?
Yeah.
You heard
Yeah.
the Perry Reese? Have you heard the Perry Reese map?
No.
The
No.
Perry Reese map was written in 1500s, and this guy wrote a picture. He made a map of the continent of Antarctica without ice on it,
Oh my gosh. Wow.
without ice on it. Okay, how did you know that? We didn't even know it existed in 1500s.
Wow.
Okay, well anyhow, so I believe and also the Marianas Trench is the deepest part on Earth. Specifically, they have another part there called the Challenger Deep, which is 7 miles plus deep. The
Mhm.
pressure is so great down there, it would crush anything. Thousands
Mhm.
of tons per square inch. I believe they have the ability because of their advanced technology to do that. What better
Yeah.
place to hide on the planet than inaccessible to human beings?
Right.
Same
Right.
thing with the moon. Same thing with Mars. Okay.
Mhm.
And just so you
Mhm.
know, viewers, I want to tell you something, viewers. You know, every picture you've ever seen from NASA showing Mars with a red atmosphere, that's a lie. It's blue. That is a
Wow.
filter. That is a filter they use. It's
Okay.
blue sky, thin atmosphere, blue
Wow.
sky. It's not red like
Wow.
they show.
Okay.
Okay, so let's keep that in mind. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I could go on and on about astronomy, but anyhow, what
We
I'm
have, I have
getting at,
another question. Do you know
sure,
how many people uh do not remember? How many people do not remember being abducted? Would you say
because
what
they put a
percent?
screen, they put an implant in their mind not to remember. I had them put in my mind. That's why I had the
Oh,
anxiety attack. Okay,
oh, yeah, yeah,
because I was
yes.
forced to
Mhm,
remember. But your
mhm.
subconscious, let me tell you about this subconscious. Your subconscious remembers everything from before you were born till the day you die. 100%. Your conscious mind does not, but your subconscious is a recorder.
Mhm.
That's what they access through hypnoregression. Okay.
Okay, okay.
I do
Mhm.
agree that grays, I don't think grays are, I'm seeing the question,
Yeah.
but I don't think grays are evil or good. I think
Okay.
they have an agenda. Are bees evil?
Mhm. No,
Are
no.
ants
I mean,
evil?
no, they're just here. They're like you said, they have an agenda.
They do their job.
Yes.
So I
Mhm,
don't think they're evil per se. Are we evil when we step on an ant or we kill a spider that tries to get us?
mhm. Well,
No.
I mean, yeah, I've
Okay, let me just say this. Okay. There are people that kill bats. There are people who kill possums, right?
Mhm,
Possums
mhm.
they eat ticks and
Yeah.
spiders and things like
Yes.
this. But
Mhm.
people do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But these creatures don't. They're not good nor evil. They have an agenda. They have a
Mhm.
plan. They're like worker bees. They do what they need to
Gotcha.
do to
Mhm.
further their agenda.
Yep.
But by the same token, you know how we do experiments on chimpanzees and monkeys
Mhm.
because they're our
Mhm.
closest relatives.
Yeah.
Okay, people vivisect them. People take them apart. People irradiate them. People poison them to see what the reactions are.
Yeah.
Are the people, the scientists that are doing that necessarily, in the strictest term, evil?
Yeah.
No,
No, they're doing it they're doing it for the good of the
science
cause. Yeah, for the good of yeah. Mhm.
for the agenda.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what the grays are about. Now, the
Okay.
reptilians, on the other hand, I believe are at odds with the grays. I think they were driven underground
Mhm.
millennia ago. Okay.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
I think that's where they are today, deep down in the earth, because there's been a lot of sightings of people seen them in caves and things of this nature. They're an alien
Yes.
race, as are the
Mhm.
Greys, as are the Nordiques. Now, I want to tell you something here, because I mean, I can talk for another 10 minutes or so, but here's the
Okay.
thing. Look, we're not alone in the universe. We've never
Mhm.
been alone. Okay. That's just ridiculous to think that. Okay.
Mhm.
There are other cultures, there are other advanced civilization, more advanced than us and less advanced than us. Okay.
Mhm.
Some are so far advanced as they're like gods to us. The ancient peoples on the planet, believe the Anunnaki, okay, 8 of
Mhm.
them ruled for hundreds of thousands of years. 8 of them, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, so and the Mayans believed in stuff. They've seen things in Easter Island. There's the pyramids are all the same all over the road. The Dogon people in Africa, okay,
Mhm.
they wear big headdresses to mimic big alien heads. The
Uh-huh.
the Aborigines in Australia, okay, cave paintings of this. The Native Americans out west, the same thing, okay. So they've been here, okay.
Yeah.
So now I believe that every alien race has an agenda.
Georgia.
We're a young race, very young race. We're a very barbaric race. We destroy each other. We kill each other for no reason other than land. And I want to say something about that. The Earth has been here for a little over 4 billion years. It's human beings that put lines on a map, okay? They call it countries and towns and cities. Take those lines off. It's one world. Got it? One world, okay? But people fight over land that's been here and will be here long after they're gone. It's been here for 4 billion years, okay?
Yep.
So
yes.
why fight? Why not work together to make one united race? One we're able to, in my lifetime, it will not see that.
No,
you will
right.
not see that either.
No.
I'm sorry to say, Mark.
Yep. No, I agree.
And because as long as we can't get along, as long as we are petty about the nature of our colors, our ethnicity, our beliefs, we're not going to be able to do that and work together as one race. And we are one race, regardless of our color, regardless of what we believe. Okay. I want to say this too, to people who believe in God. I believe in a creator. I believe there's a creator. I don't, and every religion has it. They have their own creators, multiple. They actually have some have pantheons of a bunch of different gods. But keep in mind, back in those days, something came in and flew in above a bunch of Neanderthals. They're going to think it's like a god. They have no word for aliens. They don't have any word for technology or UFOs. They they wrote what they put down on cave walls. They drew what they saw. Okay. All over the world. Okay. I want to say this too. For anybody that believes they've had an abduction experience and wants to know about it, you can get in their hypnotic regression. There's groups that'll do it. But make sure that the people who are doing it aren't unscrupulous. If you're going to join any kind of groups, whether it be for in general paranormal or specifically UFOs or Bigfoot or whatever, make sure you research that group. Podcast too. I'm not bragging here because I tell it like it is. You know that. This is a great podcast.
Thank you.
If I didn't believe in your podcast, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't waste my time. There are some I've been on that I don't believe in anymore, and I won't do another podcast for them. Okay. But the thing is this: if you believe you have an abduction experience or missing time, you got to look into it if you want to. But be careful what you look for, and careful what you find, because you may not like it. And I will say this too: the Greys have a tendency to follow families, genetic families, okay, over a long period of time, generationally, okay. Now, for myself, I have 2 sons and a daughter, and my stepdaughter. I can't count her, but I have 3 biological children of my own, 2 sons and a daughter. My sons are really bright. My daughter has issues, but I love her to death. Okay, she's going through some hell right now with her boyfriend. Anyhow, but the thing is this: but if you believe you've had an encounter, join a group or a support group, because there are support groups out there for that. There are people who believe in it. Okay. Don't dismiss things arbitrarily. Like, well, that can't be. Look, I want to say this, and I said this to you a long time ago. I think, if I were to tell our viewers, and none of you had access to a computer, the internet, or Google, or TV, and I said to you, hey, there's a creature on this planet. It's got the tail of a beaver. It's got poison-tipped claws. It lays eggs. It's got hair on its body and the bill of a duck. What would you say?
If I didn't have anything, I'd have to believe. I would believe you. But I think it depends on what's that?
Platypus. It's a
platypus.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. It lives. How about this? There's something called a coelacanth. It should have been extinct 65 million years ago. They found many so far alive. It's an armored fish from 65 million years ago.
Yep.
Who knows?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So don't dismiss things arbitrarily. I am the kind of investigator that goes in with an open but skeptical mind. Do not lie to me, because I'll call you on it.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've had to do that.
Don't waste your time, right? Don't waste your time on that. That's how I feel. Like, if I catch you in a lie, it's done, right? There's no.
But I got to tell you, out of 100% of cases I've been on, as far as UFOs, I've probably debunked just UFOs. About 80% of those as natural occurring phenomenon, misidentification, hoaxing, or outright lying and confabulation.
Really? Wow.
Right. So I've debunked quite a bit, but because people they get bent out of shape. They'll see the northern lights maybe, and think it's a UFO, or they'll see a
Oh,
low
yes.
plane or something in the distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
happens. Okay, swamp gas. I hate to use that, but anyhow,
Yeah.
balloons, people, drones in the air. A lot of people have drones nowadays too.
Yeah.
But you have to be open, have a skeptical mind, but an open mind at the same time.
Yes.
You have to follow sound scientific principles, namely, use your head. Look into research what you're seeing. Try to take some pictures, okay, if you can. Don't approach a landed UFO, okay? Don't do that unless you have other people with you, and do it from a distance, okay? Just be safe. But the thing is, Barb, is that there are more people on this planet that haven't come forward that are abductees. My estimation, based on my own research, is probably 5 to 6 million people have been abducted, at least on this planet. Not 600 a night, but 5 to 6 million at least, and that number's growing.
Wow.
We have almost 9 billion people on this planet. When I was born, there were 2.5 billion people on this planet. That's how many people have been born since.
Wow.
Okay. So, and again, I do believe we have alien hybrids among us. You know what a mole is?
Are you talking the animal or like a plant? A plant, yeah, a person.
No, I'm talking about like a spy.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Some people can be activated. Okay,
Oh my
I believe
God.
that. Now, remember what I told you about? They said I'm part of the good army. I don't know what that means. I'm one of the chosen. I don't know what that means. Okay, does that mean I could be activated to do things? I don't know.
Oh
but
my God.
The thing is I have a pretty strong will too. Pretty strong will.
Okay.
Well, anyhow, like I said, is there any more questions here? Because I could go on
I was
all
just
night.
wondering. I don't see any more questions, and I know that you have to get going. But what you said about a hybrid? Can you explain? Just explain that.
Yeah, sure. An alien-human hybrid is somebody that looks like a human being, but thinks differently. Okay, they are already activated. They're here to walk among us, to get to know us. The problem with aliens, they don't know our psychology very well. They know we're barbaric in nature and very violent species, but the psychology, they can't grasp certain emotions like love. There's no love in them. Bees don't have love. Wasps don't have love. Ants don't have love. They could not possibly grasp human emotions in that regard. They can grasp fear. And by the way, they told me they were mad at me that night. I hate to use that word, mad. When I had Devin with me that night, they were mad because I brought him. Do not bring anybody again.
Okay.
I don't know why. I don't know why. You know, but they told me that, and I recalled them under hypnosis, and they were mad for him being there, and they told him that as well. You shouldn't have been here. Just him, me.
Okay.
So, but a hybrid is somebody who looks like a human being, acts outwardly like a human being, but thinks differently. Okay, and has their own agenda, and they have sometimes trouble with human emotions. But they made them together so they can create a new race, an alien hybrid race. So when they do decide to show themselves, there'll be enough of them here. Well, let's put it this way: when Pizarro and not Montezuma, when Pizarro and Cortez came to the New World, right? And the Native Americans at the time, the Aztecs and the Mayans, they worshipped. They thought they were gods, right? What happened to the civilization? The stronger, more technologically advanced civilization destroyed them, didn't they?
Yes.
Think about that.
Yes. That. Yeah.
And
so what is a what would you say would be a something that, okay, so you said, so the Rh negative is a potential marker, is that right? And so then what would be other things that people should kind of look for?
Scoop marks and people having trouble with emotions, especially like real powerful emotions like love, getting control of those emotions, those type of things. Okay. People that like to be by themselves, but they'll go to places and they'll ask a lot of questions, you know, different things. Like, it's hard to put a finger on what they look like. I mean, because they look just like us, but they don't think like us. Okay, they have like a combination of a human brain and an alien brain. Okay, So they think differently and they have their own agenda. It's hard to find. If I knew for sure what to tell you to look for, we could find them. But I don't know for sure. These are just telltale markers.
Mm-hmm.
Scoop marks are a good indicator.
Okay.
I can deal with emotions though, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
I got a good sense of humor. But anyhow, obviously in this world you have to. Just so you know, when I first started doing this stuff many, many decades ago, we got called nuts, liars, hoaxers,
Yeah.
you name it. I have tried, Barb, I have tried so very, very hard to bring legitimacy to this subject, a paranormal subject, to the entire genre.
Mm-hmm.
But then I have people coming on these podcasts and they're just making like it's more entertainment than anything else.
Yeah.
I want information. I just gave you a ton of information tonight. Okay?
Yes, you did.
And anybody that you're listening to tonight, if they friend me or try to message me, I'll be more than happy to talk to them.
Okay. Awesome. I want to have you back. I have to have you back. And that's what people are saying. Please have him back because I feel like we've only,
We did.
Scooped the surface. So
we have, and you know what?
Oh,
Bill Rigby says to me when I did a speak up here for Bill Rigby, he said, John, next time I have you up, I'm going to have duct tape cover my mouth because I can talk for days, for real. Like I said, I went to the boardroom meeting up there 2-3 weeks ago, and I talked for over 2 hours, steady, standing up. The first thing I said to him is, I am not primarily a Bigfoot investigator. I am a paranormal investigator.
Yes, that's what you always say. Yeah. Yep.
And I'm not an expert. There are no experts.
Yep, that's what you say as well.
Don't believe that. Don't believe that.
Gosh, you're so full of knowledge. Oh my, it's just amazing.
I thought you were going to say something else. I thought you were going to say
no. Oh, no. Absolutely not. No. I'm just like blown away and I just can't. I can't wait to talk to you again.
I'll be back on again anytime you want. Listen, awesome. And next time I'm going to wear these so that I'll get a lot of likes from my looks.
Oh, okay. But then you're going to get women that are going to be trying to friend you and married man. He's off the market.
Look, that's right. Look at my profile. You'll see that. I'm happily and irrevocably married, okay, till I die or my wife kills me. You know what she said to me when you die, John? She says, we're not going to bury you. I got a pickle jar because she knows I like pickles. I love these pickles. She says, I'm going to get this. We have these big pickle jars. She says, I'm going to take your ashes. I'm going to clean the pickle jar, put you in a pickle jar, put you on the shelf. Oh. That's what she says. So it's whatever. Oh I don't care. When I'm gone, I'm gone. I don't care. At least I'll know.
So, John, how do people get in contact with you? And they also want to know, do you have a YouTube channel or what? No. How can they?
Any one of my groups. I'm going to look at my profile and you'll see all the groups I'm on. You can contact me through any groups. I'll be more than happy to talk to anybody about anything they want. I'm not dating anybody out there for all you good looking women and stuff. And I am straight, just so you know.
Happily married.
So, none of you guys get any ideas. But anyhow, so yeah, you can get to them just look at my profile picture on Facebook, get a hold of me through any of my groups. You want to friend me and I'll check out your profile, make sure you're not a nutcase, and then I'll accept your friendship. Okay.
Okay, great. Well, thank you again for joining us. And good luck with your appointment. Good luck with luck with your other shows. And where will you be on tonight?
I'll be on Les Odell's podcast, West Virginia. Okay. And I'll be doing that at 7:00 till whenever. I'll be talking about Bigfoot.
Are they live? Are they live?
Oh, yeah. They'll be live.
All right. So is that on YouTube or where can they find that?
It might be on the same thing that you're on right now.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we stream through YouTube. So that's probably, All right. So hey, everybody, look him up. And like I said, I will definitely have John on again. So
all right, take care. And listen, you look great. You look great there, woman.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. Thank you so much. Well, like Grizzly said, from around the world and coast to coast, have a good night. Thanks again, John.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye-bye.